Okay, so right here, we have a deck of playing cards. Now, before we do anything, we will go ahead and take these cards and give them a very quick shuffle just to ensure that all of the cards are good and mixed up and there is no particular order to the deck whatsoever, okay? And once the cards are mixed up to the spectator's liking, then we can begin. So as far as the deck goes, it's just going to sit here on the table in full view the entire time, and then we're going to go through this procedure of selections with the spectators. I'm going to have two spectators for this, by the way. So we're going to come to spectator number 1 first. We'll go to spectator number 2 in just a second. Obviously, I don't have spectators here with me, so I'm going to have to play the parts of the spectator. But I'm going to come to spectator number 1, and I'm going to tell them to go ahead and think of any number between 1 and 52. Why 1 and 52? Because there are 52 cards in a deck of playing cards, okay? So they go ahead and they think of a number. But just to make sure there's no way I could have any control or any influence over the number they're thinking of, I'm going to ask them to change their mind again. Or change their mind initially, so there's no way I can know really what they were thinking of at first. So they changed their mind, but throw me a curveball. Change your mind a second time. Okay, you've done that? Cool. Change your mind a third time. So the spectator is now changing their mind back and forth from number to number, so there's no way me as the magician can know what number they're merely just thinking of at this point. So they're thinking, and I say, you know what, change your mind one more time. In fact, let's say I have an invisible die here. I roll the die. What number did I just roll? The spectator calls out a number out loud on a die. Let's say they say 4. Okay, add 4 to the number you're thinking of. Perfect. Do you finally have a number that you're happy with? Hopefully they say yes at this point. If not, they can change their mind again. But at the end of the day, they're going to go back and forth from number to number to number to number to number to number, and eventually they're going to come up with something that they're happy with. So let's say they want the number, let's go with 23, but again, I like to remind you guys, this is 100% free choice. They can really name any numbers that they want. But let's say they go with 23 for this example, okay? And I would even offer the spectator one more chance. I'm like, if you are not happy with the number 23 from this deck of playing cards, then you really can go ahead and change your mind once again if you like. It's completely up to you, but let's just say they want to stick with 23. I say, okay, that's completely fine. So now they're gonna hold on to that. Now we're gonna come to spectator number 2. I say, okay, we randomly created a number with spectator number 1. So now we're randomly gonna create a playing card with you. So now I'm going to ask the spectator a series of questions, and they're going to answer them freely up to their choosing. So there are obviously 2 different colors in a deck of cards. There are red cards and there are black cards. Let's say I strip out all of one color, red or black. What cards do I strip out of the deck? Let's say I strip out the black cards. Say, okay, black cards. So the black cards are comprised of the clubs and the spades, okay? So if I take one group of those suits, just one of them, and I flip them all over, which ones do I flip over? Let's say they call out the spades, therefore the clubs would be the only ones facing up at this point, so therefore we have the clubs. So now I'm holding all of the clubs, let's imagine, right? And now I hand you a group of cards. I either just handed you all the number cards or all of the picture cards. What cards did I just hand you? Let's say they say the picture cards. So I say, okay, the picture cards. Now, with the picture cards, there are Jack, there's Queen, and there's King. So now, if they're metaphorically holding on to these picture cards, I'll say, okay, go ahead and just hand one of those to me. It can be any one that you want. Let's say they hand over the Jack. So now we are only left with the Jack of clubs. And I say, okay, do you feel that that was a free choice? And they'll say yes, because they really could have narrowed it down to any card that they wanted to. So spectator number 2 randomly created a playing card with questions based on all of their decisions. Spectator number 1 randomly thought of a number, any number between 1 and 52. They even changed their mind on me several times. But they came up with the number, I actually forgot what we said. Did we say 33? No, we said 23, right? We said 23, right? 23. So, they said 23 and they said the Jack of clubs, right? Now, I like to remind you guys, the only time I even touched this deck was when I took it out of the box in the very beginning, mixed it up. That was it. Other than that, the deck has not been touched. It's been sitting here in full view the entire time. No one's gone near it. You could have thought of any number in which you changed your mind several times. You could have thought of any card in which you changed your mind several times. but we arrived at the Jack of Clubs and the number 23. At this point, I would still not go anywhere near this deck. I would invite one of the two spectators, or maybe even another spectator, to come in, and I would tell them, go ahead and count out 23 cards. So they do so. They count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And this right here is the 23rd card. Had you would have named any other number below 23, this would not have worked. Had you would have named any other card or a number above 23, you can see clearly, I don't think this would have worked. Had you would have named any other card, this wouldn't have worked. But impossibly, the Jack of Clubs was the card at number 23, and that is a miracle. Anyways guys, that was the trick. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. So now let's get straight into the tutorial. Alright guys, hopefully you stuck around for the tutorial. So this version of any card, any number is actually very easy to achieve. All you need is any deck of cards, and then you're going to have to set up the deck prior to the trick, but the setup is very easy. It's very similar to, stacking a deck, kind of like, the mnemonica principle idea. However, mnemonic is very complicated. Something like this, you don't need to memorize the entire deck. All you need to memorize is 8 cards, and that will allow you to know where any card is within the deck using a simple peek, or you might not even have to peek at the deck at all, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But anyways, here's the setup. Once you have your deck, you want to remove the 4 10s and the 4 5s, okay? And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to put all the 10s in every 10th position in the deck, and all of the 5s in every 5th position from the deck. But you're not going to start until the 10th card of the deck. So the 5th card, don't worry about any of the 5s. You're just going to go to the 10th card. So it looks like this. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in the 10th position, you're going to put your first 10. Now, you can go in any order that you want, but I would recommend going in... Well, I shouldn't say I recommend, but you want to go in an order of suit that it's very easy to remember. So for us magicians, the most common order would be chased order, which is clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. But if you have another sequence of suits that you can memorize easier, go for it. But I'm going to do chased order. So in the 10th position, I have the 10 of clubs. So now I count 11, 12, 13, 14, and now the 15th card, I'm going to put my 5 of clubs. And you're basically going to repeat this process. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20... is going to be the 10 of hearts, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 is going to be the 5 of hearts, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 will be the 10 of spades, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 will be the 5 of spades, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40 will be the 10 of diamonds, 41, 42, 43, 44, and then 45 will be the 5 of diamonds, and then the rest of the deck can just go on top just as so. And that is the setup for the deck. Once you set up the deck in this order, you are ready to perform. So before anything even happens, you now know what cards are in positions 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 45. And that is going to be key in helping you locate certain cards and how this trick is going to work. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But for now, let's talk about the number and the card selection process. The selection for the number is actually a completely free choice. There is no force whatsoever. However, you are going to be forcing a playing card based on the number that spectator number 1 picks. And here's how you're going to go about doing this. You're going to come to spectator number 1, and you're going to ask them to think of really any number. However, pro tip here, elongate the selection process like I did in the performance. Don't just say, hey, think of a number. Okay, what is it? Have them, okay, you have a number, change your mind. Okay, throw me a curveball. Change your mind again. You got it? Okay, change your mind again, actually. You know what? I have an invisible die here. What number did I just roll? Let's say the name the number 6. Go ahead and add 6 to the number that you're thinking of. It really makes everything feel random and like you have zero control, which at this point you don't have any control. But the main reason for this is because the way you're going to be forcing the card on spectator number 2 is by means of equivoque, which is obviously a very long, stretched out process, right? So it doesn't really make sense if you're just coming over to spectator number 1 and saying, here, think of a number. Okay, you got one? Perfect. What is it? 23? All right. Now we have red cards and black cards. Which one? Black. Okay. We have clubs and spades. Which one? Do you see? You're just here. Boom. Cut to the chase. Name a number. And here you're going through this weird process. It doesn't make sense. There's no justification for why you would need to do that. If they just name a number, then why can't they just name a card, right? So that's why I stretch out the selection process for the number, so it actually feels justified when you stretch out the selection process of the playing card. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to put down there, right? So let's say you go through the whole selection process with a number, and again, you don't need to use the pattern that I use in the performance. If you want to use that, just refer back to that. But you can really come up with any pattern that you want to as far as number selection. But at the end of the day, it is a free choice. So let's say they name the number. Actually, I'm not even going to give you an example right now. I want to explain what you're going to do. When they name a number, you need to figure out what card is in that position. And here's how you're going to do so. You're going to think about those 8 cards in your stack and how they relate to the number that they named. So for example, here's the easiest possible scenario. If they name the numbers 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, or 45, because those are the cards that your positions are in, you don't need to do anything. You should already know off the top of your head what cards are in that position. So for example, if they happen to name the number 30, that's the number they go with, the number 30. I should immediately know that the 30th card down is the 10 of spades, because those are one of the 8 cards that we had stacked in the beginning, right? So if they name any multiple of 10 or any multiple of 5, you should automatically know what that card is, besides the number 5 itself, because again, we skipped that one, so in that case, you would have to look at the deck, which I'm going to get into right now, actually. If they name a number, which more likely than not, they're going to name a number that's not one of your 8 cards in your setup, right? So let's say they name a number 19. They say the number 19. How am I supposed to know what the card is? It's very easy. I want to think, again, how it relates to the cards in my stack. So I think, okay, 19's really close to 20. I know the 20th card down in my stack is the 10 of hearts. So all I need to do is casually spread through the deck and say something along the lines of, okay, do you really want to stick with 20, or do you want to change your mind one more time? Because you really can. And I'm doing nothing but casually spreading through the cards, almost acting like I don't care. And I'm looking for the card, since they named 19, right before the 10 of hearts, because I know the 10 of hearts is the 20th card. So I'm looking at the card right before in the spread, so I see that's the 8 of hearts, and I just keep spreading. I now know the 19th card down is the 8 of hearts, and then I can force that card on spectator number 2 using A.C.A.A.N. Let's do another example. Let's say they name the number 24. They name number 24. I can now think, okay, 24 is very close to 25. So, and I know the 25th card down in the stack is the 5 of hearts. So now I would just spread through, and as I'm casually spreading through, I would look for the 5 of hearts. It was just 25, but I need to know what 24 is. So I look at the card right before it. I see it's the 9 of hearts. I now know that I need to force the 9 of hearts using A.C.A.A.N on spectator number 2. One more example. Let's say they name the number 37. If they name the number 37, I can think, okay, that's close to 35. I know the 35th card would be the 5 of spades. So now I can say, okay, 2 cards after 35 is 37. So I'm going to look for the 35th card, which is the 5 of spades. And 2 cards after it, in this case, is the 2 of hearts. I know that's the card now I need to force. So all you really need to do is identify what cards in your stack are close to a number that they named, and then as you're spreading, just count over X amount of cards, and then you'll figure out what card you need to force on spectator number 2. And again, the beautiful thing is, if they do name one of the numbers, let's say they name the number 15, you know the 15th card down is the 5 of clubs without having to do anything. So in that case, you can skip the step of spreading through the cards. You can just leave the card there and already know what it is. That would obviously be more of a perfect outcome. It's not going to happen every time, but when it does, it's pretty awesome. But anyways, for tutorial purposes, let's say we go with the number, let's use 23, because I think we used that in the performance, right? Let's use 23. So if they say 23, I'll pick up the deck and spread and say, okay, you really feel like you could have named absolutely any card, right? And then in this case, I would know that the card that I need to force on them just by spreading through is the Queen of Hearts, okay? So at this point, I now know I need to force the Queen of Hearts. So I'm going to come and use A.C.A.A.N on spectator number 2, which a lot of you guys should already know what A.C.A.A.N is, you know, the Magician's Choice. So I'm not going to go over it too too much in depth, but you do want to make sure that you're asking questions and that your language makes sense, because if it doesn't, it's a little weird. Like, I hate when magicians are like, okay, we have red and black, right? Just name any one. Red, okay, or black, okay, that leaves red. That leaves red left. See, it doesn't really make too much sense, so you want to add more to your language to make it make sense. So for example, like in the performance, I said, rather than just say here, name one, red or black, I make it make sense by saying, okay, I'm stripping out all of one cards from the deck of one color. What cards am I stripping out, red or black? Now you see, here's why it works. If they say red, you can say, okay, perfect, red. If they say black, you can say, okay, we strip out all of the black cards. That means the deck is now only comprised of red cards. See, it makes sense. Now, another example, now you have red cards, so you need hearts and diamonds. We have the Queen of Hearts, right? So I need to force hearts on them. So I'll say, okay, I just metaphorically turned over all of one suit. What cards did I turn over? If they say heart, you can say, okay, hearts. If they say diamond, you can be like, okay, that means now the hearts are the only ones left facing up, because you never really said which direction you were turning them, right? So make sure your language makes sense. If you want to understand the rest of the equivoque idea, I would recommend coming up with your own pattern, not just following mine. But if you want to try to follow my principles, then feel free to use the ones that I used in the performance. Just refer back to that. But I would recommend, again, really figuring out what works best for you as far as magician's choice go, and what equivoque, how it works best for you, okay? But essentially, that's all you got to do. Have them pick a number, whatever number they pick, get your peak, as I showed you, force the according card on them, and then all that's left to do is deal down. You know what? I'm not even going to waste time dealing, because we already know the Queen of Hearts is the 23rd card down, right? I do just want to give you guys one very quick little tip here, and that has to do with the number, right? When you are recapping the trick, right, you're going to be over here. You force the Queen of Hearts on them and say, okay, so you said the Queen of Hearts, and earlier you had thought of a number, right? And what was the number you were thinking of again? The reason why I do that is you want to almost act like you forgot what the number was, because the less important information like this seems to you, the less you care about it, the less it looks like you care about it, the more natural everything looks. If you make a very big deal, like, there's something that's, I don't know how to explain it. It's a very nice subtlety when you come over and you're like, and the number you thought of was, what, 25? No, 23. So you can either misremember the card, or you can even misname it, but you do that on purpose just to make it look like you forgot. Because, if you look like you don't care, it looks like it's not important to you. And if it looks like it's not important to you, then it can't be anything to do with how the trick is done. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. It's more powerful being like, hey, and your number was 25, no, 20, no, what was it, 20? Yeah, all 23, got it. Rather than just coming over and being like, okay, Queen of Hearts, and you said 23, like you automatically knew it. Like, it makes, trust me, even if you don't understand what I'm trying to put down, just trust me on that, okay? And yeah, from there, all that would be left to do is deal out, and this time we'll deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and what I tell you, 23 right there is the Queen of Hearts. Oh, and one other thing, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys remember, I was talking about getting spectators to, recreating false memories, right? So more likely than not, like I said, you need to spread through the cards face up, which it really seems like a nothing moment, but here you were touching the deck. And a nice little subtlety I say when I'm recapping is, okay, you could have thought of any number, you changed your mind. You could have thought of any card and changed your mind. You see, that's one thing too, is they never change their mind in the card, but I say that, and they almost feel convinced that they actually did, if that makes sense, right? Same thing, and I can say, look, the deck has been sitting here the entire time. Besides me taking the cards out of the box, I never even touched the cards. People will actually believe that, and that's how they'll tell you, oh, he never even touched the deck, but I did touch the deck. I touched the deck when I was spreading through the cards, and that is very key to how I make this trick work. So recreating false memories is a big part of deception. If you can do that, then again, you're going to lose spectators and they're going to have absolutely no clue how anything is done. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I know it was a long video. I know some of you guys don't like longer videos, but again, the way that I view it is if you take your magic seriously and you are committed to learning the art form, you shouldn't care how long a tutorial is. In fact, the more detailed and it is and the more tips and tricks that I throw in, the longer it'll be, but the more you guys are going to benefit from it. So honestly, long videos are not something you should really complain about. You really should be thanking me, because you're going to get more value. You're just going to get more out of it than you would from like a quick little 5-minute tutorial, if that makes sense. All right. But with that said, hope you guys enjoy. We are getting close to 500 subscribers, so I would appreciate it if you slap the like button, share the video with your friends, leave a comment, and again, of course, subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll see you guys for the next video. Cardtrix 8 signing off. Peace out.